last week.
That was interesting.
I was actually
You would?
I played my cat. No, well, I'm in Australia.
Back?
the one with the
Yeah, I got that.
The Ocean County knows that they're lying Texas and they would call it like they would in real life. They have the capability to say, hold on to the call and
Let's not like sprint. Yeah, not like drawn, but like run, but not sprint.
the wind's coming from that way, so you might get that covered.
I'll call you back and we'll send that's a good plan. You know, like while you're doing that, I'll like yell out. What happened?
Good afternoon, everyone. Everyone, listen up. All right, you guys are about to see a mock crash. This is going to be an example of what can happen in real life. It's very important that you pay attention and that you're very respectful to all the participants involved in this.
We'd like to report a mock car crash at Union City Junior High School.
You'd like to report what now?
A mock car crash.
Mock car crash?
Yes. Someone's really hurt. She's bleeding really bad.
Okay, are you in Union City, Indiana?
Yes.
Okay, let me transfer Randolph County. One moment.
Cell phone, right?
Randolph County Dispatch. This is Dark County with the transfer mock accident. Go ahead, man.
We want to report a mock car crash at Union City Junior High School.
Okay, you got a car crash at Union City High School. Okay, now what? Is there injuries?
Yeah, someone's bleeding really bad and someone's not breathing.
Okay, so there's bleeding and not breathing. Okay, 1 second here, okay?
Please hurry.
Okay, 1 second. Dispatch. Attention Station 91, personnel. Request you simulate Union City High School. Reference to 1050. PI. Multiple injuries. One not breathing at this time. Tanner 706. 410-5. This is a training exercise. Okay, man. Now, where you guys located over there on the west side, or on the south side of the school?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So how many is injured? Do you know?
4.
4 is injured. Okay. And you say 1's not breathing?
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone know how to do CPR?
No.
You say does anyone know how to do CPR?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is anyone doing CPR at this time?
No.
Okay. Does anyone feel comfortable doing CPR?
No. No.
Okay. Alrighty, well I got medics en route. Let me send them off. There'll be 4 injured, 1 not breathing. This is the training start. Okay. Let me get them off. Okay. units, signal 8 to high school, reference to 1010T. P.I. 4 injured, will not bring to respond. This is an exercise. WKID 635 at 1406. 728. Okay. Alright, man. So, how many vehicles are involved?
4.
Four vehicles are involved? How many people involved?
2.
2 vehicles, okay. 2 vehicles involved, 4 people injured, will not bring, okay. Has EMS got there yet?
Yes.
Okay. Alrighty. And what's your name, man? What is it again?
Yes, sir. White uniform.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay. Just if anything happens, let me know if anything changes, okay?
Engine 92.
As you can see, Evie lays on the hood of the car. Her injuries were very severe. Her aorta has ruptured and she bled massively into her abdomen. She was awake during the crash and survived for about 10 to 15 seconds afterwards. She died looking at Alan's eyes as he sat there waiting with her for law enforcement and fire and EMS to respond.
County Medic 91, right? Bag 91, you're running to 1408.
As law enforcement arrives on scene, they work to secure a safe scene for patients and as other first responders. As you can see, Noah's sitting on the ground processing. As Alan's sitting on the ground, you can process what's going on at the accident and how it all occurred. At some point, law enforcement will work to do some field sobriety testing on him to determine if he was intoxicated at the time of the accident.
You're clear at 1408.
While both cars have stopped moving from the initial accident, the injuries that are internal on the patient still continue. For Peyton, she has a pneumothorax, which means her rib has broken and collapsed her lung, making it difficult for her to breathe. And for Elizabeth, she also has a broken collarbone and a ruptured spleen as well, so she's bleeding. As time progresses, these injuries continue to increase in severity. It becomes difficult for each and every one of them to breathe while they're attempted to be getting removed from the cars. The fire department works very quickly, but they also have to maintain safety. Sometimes when cars hit each other, they can crumple like a piece of paper, and ultimately crumpling on the patients inside, whether it be their arms, their legs, their head, their chest, and that's what's happening in the maroon car right now. The vehicle had crumpled internally on their legs and their stalks, so they're going to have to be cut out. For Peyton and Elizabeth, they sit inside these cars speaking with first responders, asking and pleading for them to get them out of the car to seek help for them. As all this occurs, they're stuck sitting there looking at Evie as her body lays on the hood. Law enforcement is working with Alan to determine if he was intoxicated at the time of the accident. They'll perform a field sobriety test, at which point, if he fails, will be utilized in a court case against him. In the state of Ohio last year, there were more fatalities than every single student that sits here today. That would mean, in reality, that every single one of you would be gone. That would be a reflection of the fatalities lost just in the state of Ohio last year from accidents. Keep in mind that's just our state. That's not even a representation of what the nation looks like. The noise that you hear is a jolt of life. It's the fire department working to cut the car to get the patients out. Alan is being placed under arrest, being placed in handcuffs, and will be taken away from the scene.
On scene. Command, what you need, fella? Unrestrained driver in the white car. Repeat, unrestrained driver in the white car.
It's been 13 minutes since this car crash has occurred. The fire department works to extricate Peyton and Elizabeth. Evie lays on the hood of the car. First responders think they may have detected a pulse on Evie, so they put the monitor on her to determine if she has any cardiac electrical activity. As you can see, they walk away from her body because she is passed. With the placement of the white sheet over Evie indicates every last chance of survival for her has passed, and that she has ultimately expired from this accident.
279 is clearing the truck this time for the exercise.
It's been 18 minutes since the accident has occurred. Peyton and Elizabeth remain inside the maroon car as the fire department works to extricate them out. For Peyton, her pneumothorax, her collapsed lung, is making it increasingly difficult for her to breathe. She begins to slip in and out of consciousness as Elizabeth sits by and stares at her and tries to wake her. Elizabeth's injuries are also causing her to become confused and also hypoxic. She's not getting enough oxygen to her brain. As you can imagine, the tremendous stress that first responders experience when responding to these types of accidents. The patient's injuries are still severe. They're still sometimes awake, talking to them, screaming, pleading for help.
You're on scene at 1420.
The coroner has arrived on scene to remove Evie's body. They will begin to conduct their investigations by taking photos, taking measurements, all of which will be documented in the court case against Allen. coroner is taking photos of Evie's body to be utilized in the court case.
We are immediately available upon your request. Hovering in the area. If you have any landing zone information you'd like to pass on now, that obstacle is how your site is marked, and any landmarks you need to know about. 4 yellow cones be just west of the accident site at this time. We're executing your patient. Your LZ has a slight range to the south and west. Power lines on the east side. Sir, are you ready for a care flight 3? Wait.
As you see, Elizabeth is on a long backboard to maintain spinal precautions. She's also screaming out in pain because of her injuries. For both Peyton and Elizabeth, her injuries are very severe. Unfortunately, they're unable to receive pain medicine. Due to the nature of their injuries, they're both becoming unconscious at times, coming in and out of consciousness, which means they can't have pain medicine. So every cut, every broken bone, every ounce of pain, they're feeling it. It's been 25 minutes since the crash has occurred. Evie's body still lays on the hood, waiting to be removed from the coroner. Elizabeth has been placed in the back of the medic to be transported to a hospital, and Peyton's being placed on a long backboard to be taken to care flight once they've arrived.
I am only 17, yet young enough to die. I thought I'd live forever, but now I must say goodbye. I made the choice to take the ride, a choice I now regret. In this car I soon will die, in the seat where I first sat. I wasn't the one drinking tonight, I tried to use my head, but I rode with a drunk driver, and very soon I would be dead. I'm lying here dying, as I hear the policeman say, she was a very young girl, it's sad she died this way. I see them pull my friends out, I wonder how they are, I want to scream, please help me, don't let me die while in this car. Tell my friends not to cry, tell my family to be brave, and when I go to heaven, write Daddy's girl on my grave. It's becoming very hard to breathe, I know I must shut my eyes, please don't make the same mistakes, I love you and goodbye.
Evie's body will be removed from the hood of the car and taken to the morgue where her family will view her last time. They'll have to identify her, or be able to attempt to identify her with what's left of her face. From that point on, she'll go to a funeral home, where she'll be prepared for a funeral, where her family and her friends, you guys, will be able to see her one last time before she's buried into the ground.
Medic 93 is en route to fire round 1. Clear flight.
It's been 33 minutes since the accident has occurred, and now Peyton's getting rides to the hospital in a helicopter that's going to go 180 miles an hour. She slipped in and out of consciousness on her way to the aircraft. There's a chance she might need to be intubated and have CPR performed on her as well. So all that's left of today's accident is to clean up cars. Cars stained with blood, cars stained with tears. This is what you saw today is fake, but this is real life. For all your local first responders, law enforcement, fire department, coroner, this is our life, this is real life, and it could be your life too. The reason we do this is we do not want you guys to become a victim. Sometimes it's your fault, sometimes it's not your fault. You can be the straight A student and ultimately be killed in a car crash because of somebody else's poor decision. I'm going to pass the mic over to my dear friend Laura. She has a very important message and story that she wants to share with you. It's very important that you guys pay very close attention to what she has to say.
First, I want to tell everybody thank you for having us today. Like Mandy said, this is a mock crash. It's, not real. But for my family, this is all too real. September 20th of 2010 was a Monday. My son Joey was a senior at Pickle High School, and his brother Brian was a junior. Joey and the Brian were the best of friends. Wherever you saw one, you saw the other. We're sitting in the living room watching Swamp People, which was Joey's favorite show. I'm sitting on the couch, and Joey's sitting on the floor with his head right here on my leg. My son was 6'2", 320 pounds, a big gentle giant, and he was a mama's boy, and he was quite proud of that. They're rooting for the Swampers, and I'm rooting for the Gators because someone has to root for the underdog. Joey wanted to go to the farm science review. He's like, Mom, can I please go? I'm like, yeah, you can go. So I signed his permission slip. Of course, if I sign his, I'm signing Brian's. I'm a nurse, and at that time I worked a job in Vandalia where I had to get up very early in the morning. So I told the boys that I loved them and they could tell me all about farm science review the next day. I gave Joey a hug. I said, I love you. He's like, I love you too, Mom, and I went to bed. September 21st, 2010 at 1:45 in the afternoon, I get a phone call from my sister. My sister never calls me at work. I'm like, what's wrong? She's like, nothing. Can you meet me at the License Bureau in Troy? I'm like, yeah. I said, well, what's wrong? She's like, nothing, just meet me. So all the way from Vandalia to Troy, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's my dad. My dad's a little older. He lives on the farm by himself. I'm thinking that she's going to tell me something horrible's happened to my father. I met at the License Bureau by 2 State Highway Patrol. And I remember on the way into the License Bureau that neither one of them would look at me. And I remember telling one of them, why does my heart tell my feet to run? And oh guys, I wish I had. The morning of the farm science review, another one of Joey and Brian's friends decided that they wanted to go. There wasn't enough room in the truck for all of the kids, so Joey stayed home. My husband had the day off work that day. My boys loved demolition derby cars, demolition derby garden tractors, anything with a motor. So they decided to go to Dayton to pick up a riding lawnmower from one of our friends that Joey would have turned into some 2,000-pound monster. While my guys were on their way home, a young lady decided to go to Myers in Troy, buy a 6-pack of compressed air. She huffed the can, got high, and then deemed herself okay to drive. My guys were 4 miles from home, less than 5 minutes. The trooper sits me down in the chair at the License Bureau, tells me there's been a horrible crash, tells me that my husband's been taken by care flight to Miami Valley, and that we don't know that he'll survive. And she tells me that my 6'2", 320-pound gentle giant is gone. And I remember telling this trooper, this is the meanest joke you could ever play on me. And she's like, it's no joke, Joey's dead. After the lady huffed her can, she decided it was okay to drive. She went off the right-hand side of the road, came back up on the roadway, went left of center, and never stopped. Joey saw her. He got down in the ditch to try and miss her. That didn't do any good. She hit him head-on at 78+ miles an hour. She never hit the brakes. Joey was driving, had a seatbelt on, but the impact took the cab of the truck. It tore it off the frame, stood in an L, and Joey's seatbelt was pulled apart. He went out the back window, he broke his neck, and he died. When we tell you guys about wearing your seatbelts in your cars, you guys need to wear your seatbelts, whether the front seat or the back seat, because on the way out of the vehicle, Joey collided with his dad. He broke his neck, he lacerated his face, he broke his ribs, and his spleen was lacerated. If you guys are ever in a crash and you don't have your seatbelt on, you're like a shirt in a dryer. You're going to tumble, and there's nothing you can do about it. So now I've got to call Brian because he's off making memories with him and Joey's friends. I tell him to meet me at the State Highway Patrol post in Pickle, and he's like, Mom, what's wrong? I'm like, nothing, just meet me, and tell Clifton to drive careful. So of course when he gets there, all the kids get out of the truck. I tell Brian there's been a horrible crash, and I have to tell him that his best friend in the world is gone. And I'll never forget Brian looking at me and asking me, I don't have a big brother anymore. I'm like, no baby, you don't. That's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life, was tell Brian that his best friend was gone. The one person that he knew from the time he was born. My Joey, guys, was just like you, sitting here today. He loved coming to school, making plans for the weekend, hanging with his friends, complaining about the homework and picking on his teachers. He was just like you. He was a senior. He was looking forward to graduating. But instead of getting to plan for prom or college tours, I had to pick out Joey's casket. I had to take his clothes to the funeral home. I had to take him by myself because my husband was in a neck brace. He couldn't travel. I had to pick out what he'd wear for his last day. I had to write his obituary. How do you put 18 years into 2 columns, guys? I had to pick out his tombstone. What did I want his stone to show, so when people walk through the graveyard and see an 18-year-old passed away, that they'd know something about Joey? No mom should ever have to do that, guys. One of the hardest phone calls I had to make once I got to Miami Valley Hospital to check on my husband was I had to call the local funeral home. Who was I going to trust to go get my child from the Montgomery County morgue? The second hardest day of my entire life was the day we buried Joey, September 28, 2010. Knowing that that was it. He was not coming home. I got to see him before they closed the lid because it was closed casket. And I got to see half of his nose, this eye, this ear, and part of his cheek, and I got to kiss him right here goodbye. And then we closed the lid, and that was it. That's my last memory of my son, Joey. I come out here, you guys, not to scare you, not to make you feel bad. I want you guys to understand the dangers. You guys are going to be out for prom here next weekend. We do this before prom because you guys will be out in the masses. You're going to be out having a good time. You're going to be dressed up, looking gorgeous and handsome. You're also going to be distracted in the car with what's going on, getting excited to go to prom, and then what you're going to do after prom. When you guys get behind the wheel of the car, you need to buckle up, put those cell phones away. They're killing you and there's no reason for it. And if you're out doing something and you've drank or done something you're not supposed to do, don't you dare get behind the wheel of that car. There's never an excuse to drive impaired. There are too many other options to get home. One is calling your mom and dad. Are they going to yell? Maybe, that's kind of what we do. But it's only because we love you. And I guarantee you that if you called your mom and dad and said, Mom, I made a mistake. Dad, I made a mistake. Please come and get me. No matter what time it is, I promise you they'll come and get you. It's not worth the risk, you guys. From the time the lady hit Joey to the time he passed away was 3 seconds. I am not the person I'm not the same person I was when I went to bed on September 20th, and I never will be again. The lady that hit Joey was 29 years old. She died 3 months later of a drug overdose. She left behind 6 beautiful children of her own, and I do not hate her. I hope that she's in heaven. Hate darkens your soul, darkens your heart, and darkens your soul, and it's a total waste of energy. So when you guys get out there, please be careful. I want you guys to grow. I want you to go to prom and make beautiful memories you can share 20, 30 years down the road. I don't want you to become a memory.
Hey guys, just in closing, just 2 quick things. First of all, I want to tell you that I know living in Union City, it's hard for you to tell because you're teenagers, but I want to tell you we have the best fire department and police department and first responders in the world. So can we give them a round of applause? And as we get ready to go back to class, we talk a lot about choices. And it's not always your choice. You have choices and they have different consequences. If you make the choice to drink, you made a bad choice because you're not old enough, not supposed to be doing that. But do you compound that problem by jumping in the car? The answer to that is no. So why do we do this? Why do we nag on you? Because we don't want to see this happen to anyone. It happens far too often. We love you too much not to take the time out of our day to explain to you what your decisions and the choices you make, how they impact not only you, but many other people. So I hope you think about that as we go into this weekend and prepare for prom next week and continue to make good decisions when you jump behind the wheel. And we're not only talking about alcohol and drugs. We all know this is causing just as many accidents behind the wheel as alcohol. So make good decisions, those of you that drive, and understand that when you make bad decisions, those consequences affect many, many others. So at this time, we're going to send the 7th and 8th grade back in. You're going back into 7th period.